Hello friends, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Amy from Neurotic Mom Bakes, and today we are making donuts. Now there's two different kinds of donuts that you can make, basic donuts. There's the baked donuts and there's the yeast donuts. The baked are more like cake donuts that you bake in an oven, but I'm gonna do the yeast donuts. Think like Krispy Kreme. They're fried and they're my favorite. So anyway, the ingredients that you're going to need to get together are 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast, a little bit of lukewarm water, 1.5 cups of milk that is microwaved until it's lukewarm, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, 1/3 cup of shortening, and then anywhere from 5 to 7 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is I'm going to get 2 tablespoons of my yeast, and I'm going to sprinkle it over 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, and that's going to activate it, and you're going to let that sit for about 5 minutes. I like to give it just a little bit of a mix. Now while that's sitting and activating, I'm going to put my other ingredients into my bowl. You're going to need 2 attachments for this. You're going to start with the whisk beater first. And first thing I'm going to do is measure out 1.5 cups of milk, because I need to get this in the microwave just to warm it up a little bit. Start with that. And then in here I have my 1/2 cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put that in my bowl. My shortening next. Oh, phew, we have exactly 2 eggs left. 2 eggs, 1 and 2. Milk. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, you don't want cold milk because that's going to kill the yeast. So you want it just slightly warmer than room temperature. I'm going to pour this in. Okay. So I've got my milk in here. This hasn't quite been sitting long enough, so I'm going to go ahead. I just want to make sure this is fully activated before I add it. All right. Before I put the yeast in, I'm going to just give this a quick mix. And then I'm going to add the yeast in there. You want to scrape out every bit that you can, because this is what's going to help our donuts rise and become really light and fluffy. I'm going to find my spatula. Okay, now to this, while we still have the whisk attachment on, I'm going to add 2 cups of flour. Nice and slow. And 1 more. At this point, I am going to switch attachments. I'm going to scrape my bowl down. And this is where it gets a little tricky. You kind of have to get a feel for what the dough should look and feel like, but I'm going to walk you through that. So you're going to switch to the hook attachment, And you're gonna add the flour a half to 1 cup at a time, half a cup to 1 cup at a time. And I'll show you what the consistency should look like so you know when to stop adding flour. So we have 2 cups in there for now, just on a low speed. I'm gonna add a little bit at a time. So this is 3 cups. Just takes a little bit longer for that bread hook to bring it all together. Just slowly add the flour in. So this is cup number 4. Right. Okay, the dough is starting to pull together, but it's definitely still too sticky to work with. So I'm going to add, this is 5 cups. And we'll see what that does. You can see the dough is starting to pull away from the sides. Okay, so let me show you this. At this point, it's still much too sticky, okay? So we are gonna add the flour just a little bit at a time. I'm not even gonna measure anymore. I'm just gonna try adding about a half a cup at a time from this point out. Okay. Now you can see here, it's a lot less sticky. It's pulling together, but that is still too sticky, okay? So it needs to not stick to your fingers at all. Just wash my hands real quick. And we're gonna add about another half of a cup. Okay, it's starting to look like dough. Okay, at this point, I have some dry flour down on the bottom here, and it's kind of sticky on the top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it all off. Oh, see how it pulls nicely from the dough hook? That is nearly ready, but I'm just gonna turn it upside down and give it another good mix here. All right, yeah. If you can see in here, you can see how it's forming one ball of dough. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. It pulls away from the sides of the bowl. Let me show you. See how it pulls away from the sides of the bowl and it's clean all the way around, and then it falls off the dough hook and it does not stick to my fingers or my hands. That's the perfect consistency. So I would say I added this time about 6 cups of flour. It totally just depends on the temperature of your house, the humidity in the air. So anywhere from 5 to 7 cups of flour. You just want to add half a cup at a time until it becomes this consistency. Now, at this point, you're gonna need to knead the dough until you do the window pane test. This is called the window pane test. So you stretch out the dough, and you should be able to see through it. How you tell the dough is done. So what needs to happen when you're making any type of bread with yeast in it, you need to develop the gluten. And this has not developed yet because it just pulls apart. But you will see what I mean. So you can either knead it by hand or you can let the machine do the work. And I'm gonna let the machine do most of the work. And then I'll show you how I knead by hand also. So we're gonna let this go for a couple minutes. Okay, let's check. Let's do our window pane test. So you want to be able to pull it and it becomes thin without breaking. You should be able to see, see how it breaks a little bit still, but we're getting better. See how it's getting more stretchy and it pulls a little bit before breaking? So we're getting there. I'm gonna knead it some more though. Gonna give it another minute or two. Definitely getting more gluten in there. It's stretching more before breaking, but I would say we're still gonna go. Okay, let me show you how you can hand knead the dough. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of flour, tiny bit, on a clean surface, pull the bread dough out, remove this. And turn the dough over. Okay, so you're just gonna keep folding, stretch and fold, sleeves up. I just kind of pull, turn, pull, and fold it over. I've also seen people throw it. Do you ever watch the British baking show? That's like my favorite baking show in the world. And I've learned so much about bread, and I've seen all sorts of kneading techniques. I like this one. It's my personal favorite. Okay. It's like seriously a good workout. It is, like my arms hurt and my watch is activated that I'm doing a workout. So if you're wanting to burn extra calories before you eat them, I'm just gonna get a little more flour. Okay. Okay, let's do our window pane test. Okay, so you can see how you can see, and it's barely breaking, but you can see how it's getting more stretchy. See that? I'm pulling and it's not. We're just really close. I'm just gonna give it a few more turns. Okay, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna kind of form it. You wanna kind of form it into a ball, a smooth ball. So I'm just gonna kind of work that, a little more flour. Okay, bread that has yeast in it needs to prove twice. We're gonna do the first prove right now. Prove or rise, okay, there's different words. So I'm gonna form this into a nice round ball, smooth as I can get it, because when I roll, you want a smooth surface for your donuts. And you're gonna get a large bowl, spray it with a tiny bit of cooking spray. You're gonna drop that in. And then I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap. And you are going to let this prove or rise until it's double in size. And that takes about anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, depending on how humid and how warm your kitchen is. If I want to speed up the process, so I'm going to put it in my windowsill because there's a nice warm sun patch right here. I'm going to put it right there and let that go until it's doubled in size.